Hey guys, what's going on? It is Jim here, and on today's Would I Rebuy This Guitar? We're talking about one of my favorite guitars. That is a Fender made in Japan Pink Paisley Telecaster. Now this might shock you, but I purchased this guitar from Dave's Guitar Shop in Wisconsin. I saw it come up for sale. I had a blue floral Stratocaster at the time, and I figured the Pink Paisley Telecaster would be a good match. I like flashy things. When I go out to gig, I don't know, it's just something I've always been attracted to. So I ordered the guitar, it showed up, and it played great. It was just a little bit different than other guitars I had played up until that point. This guitar had a big old neck on it, and there were only 3 Telecasters I had had before this one. I had an American Standard, thin C-neck. I had a Baja 60s, thin C-neck. And I had one of those limited edition Swamp Ash made in Mexico Telecasters. That was my first Telecaster ever. Also, a very thin neck. When I got this guitar, it had a chunky neck on it. At first, I didn't know if I was going to like it. I actually debated sending it back. But the more I played it, the more I became familiar with it. And after a while, my hand just got used to it. But going into this guitar, I knew exactly what I was getting with Fender Japan, and it didn't disappoint. The fit and finish were fantastic. Now, one of the owners of a store called Parkway Music, which I talk about sometimes on this channel, his name is Tom. When I first ordered the blue Stratocaster, which we'll get to later, I promise, he said, all you need for these guitars, throw in a set of Lawlers, and they're done. They're perfect. Well, he was damn right. Except at this time, I didn't see the point in spending that much on aftermarket pickups, so I put in Fender Pure Vintage 64s. I later went on to add a Bigsby to it because I had bought the Custom Shop Telecaster and I was trying to justify keeping both, so I thought, if I put a Bigsby on it, it's a little bit easier of a sell to my wife that, I need both of them hanging around, and she's pretty cool. She lets me keep onto a lot of these things, as you can see, but it's kind of the mental gymnastics, again, that us guitar players do to try and justify these things. And this guitar served as a key pivot point for me and my decision making when buying guitars as far as Japan versus Mexico. This was the one that was just, there were so many in a row that I had gotten from Japan that were this good. And I had had so many little kind of issues here and there with the Mexican stuff, and at the time, they were priced almost less, a lot of the Japanese stuff, than the Mexican ones were. And I decided, you know what? If I'm not buying Fender America, it's going to be Fender Japan from here on out. And it has been for except maybe 1 or 2 total guitars. The frets were perfect. The nut was cut perfect. The finish was perfect. The neck had this beautiful sheen of almost satin on the back. It played like a dream. I loved that guitar. The only reason I sold that guitar, it was one of, I think, 4 guitars to suffer the same fate. The Mustang from last week also suffered this. I did not say it in that video, and somebody asked me why I sold it, and I didn't tell them, so I'm going to tell you now. When stuff kind of hit the fan, and we were living in New York, and it was kind of like a knee-jerk reaction to move back to California, I had to sell a bunch of stuff to be able to afford it. Because when you go to buy an apartment, or not buy, but rent an apartment in San Diego, you're looking at least $4,000 just straight up to get in, because they want full rent and a month's security deposit as well. Then you have to figure in moving costs, plane tickets, all of that fun stuff. And well, I kept the Custom Shop Telecaster, and I sold this guitar, and I sold that guitar. So that kind of sucked. But I gigged with this guitar a lot. I loved taking this guitar out to play. I loved kind of the looks I would get from people. Like, is he seriously playing a pink guitar with flowers on it? Hell yeah, I was. I don't care. Made you remember me. That was kind of my impression here. And I liked it. I liked playing it. It's a Telecaster. There's not much I have to really say about the tones. It was an excellent instrument. It was light. It was reliable. It sounded great. But would I rebuy this guitar? Absolutely. I would, and I will rebuy one of these guitars. If I can find one for $1,000 or less, or even better, if I can find one of the original 1985 reissues from Japan on one of these, I think I'd do it. As long as the price wasn't too exorbitant. I've seen them range from $15 at Dave's all the way up to, on the used market independently, to like $3,500, which to me, that's crazy pills. That's too much money. But $1,500, maybe we're having a conversation here. Maybe it's in my hands in a few days. But that's going to wrap up today's brief episode on the Paisley Telecaster. I adored this guitar. I really did. So if you like what I'm doing, please leave me a like. I do appreciate it. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. I have like a script that just arbitrarily happened to become my script. Other than that, I will see you tomorrow for another guitar related video. Take it easy, you guys.